CDC warned Americans to be prepared here at home.
Confirmará que coronavirus podría llegar a estar infectada y contagiosa.
Welcome to the Bill Mason Show. How you doing, Bill?
The last show of 2020. Here we go.
Yes, and it was a great year.
Yeah.
Look at all the things we covered. You saw that introduction there. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, what hasn't happened that nobody expected? Like, we were talking about, a couple shows ago, pre-show, about, man, if you told me what this January was going to be like, I wouldn't believe you, honestly. Like, all the things that transpired, all the fake impeachments and the relentlessness from the left that just kept coming with little or no evidence. And now all of a sudden we're at a pinnacle moment where our election was literally right before everybody's eyes stolen, and there's mountains of evidence, and they just have a media that just repeats and says there's no evidence here, so it's over, it's done, the election's done, you don't have time to litigate, you don't have time, the courts won't touch it. I mean, I'm glad we got 100 congressmen that are willing to contest the election, and Hawley stepped up because Rand Paul was on the fence about he wasn't sure, so Hawley said, I'm a senator, I'll do it. Boom, it's done, they're contesting it.
Good. Yeah, I mean, on January 6th is going to be an epic day. We have a couple of videos about what's going to happen there. Fight for Trump, we have a video for that. I mean, it's great.
All over the world, man. Fight for Trump.
So, I mean, we have, of course, 2020, man, it started with a bang. We got last year, January, it was about to have war with Iran.
Yeah.
So that was day one. And then we were the first ones to call the pandemic on January the 30th.
Yep.
They wouldn't call till, I think it was March, beginning of March, right?
Well, I think we had the first cases, I think, in like Seattle area or something like that in February, right? So,
right.
Trump restricted travel back then, but still, everybody, even Pelosi was like, oh, come on, coming down to Chinatown, it's fine.
Right. Well, still Bill Mason show, we called it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then it went on from there. We had the riots, we had the COVID deaths keep on piling up. Then the election, the fake, the stealing of the election. So, man, I wonder what 2021 will bring. What do you think?
It really depends on what happens on this January 20th, because, the Biden administration is not messing around with being out front about how close to socialism they're willing to play this. Like, Biden has said all along in these interviews, like, I'm not making policy. Scientists and experts are making policy. I got UN people and Facebook and Google people in my cabinet. I mean, he's basically saying, like, I'm not going to do anything. These people are. So you just elected a puppet head.
Right. And just to let you know, folks, we got suspended for a week.
Sorry,
as of this production right now, we're still suspended. It's supposed to be lifted in a couple of days. But, we got suspended for showing a video because it was taken down the internet wide. You can't find it anywhere else. You
Yeah.
can't find it. The video that we posted, it was about the third quarter collapse of the world economy. And they
Yeah.
took it down.
And you know what's funny? Like I had to print these out real quick. I had to print these out that the new YouTube terms of service, and I'm just reading their terms. If you deny that COVID-19 exists, your video will be pulled. If you claim that no one has died from COVID, your video will be pulled. If you claim that more people died in China than reported, your video will be pulled. Claims that treatment is not guaranteed for COVID-19. Claims about hydroxychloroquine, encouraging home remedies, discouraging people. And like, it's literally a protection for the narrative of their COVID-19 narrative. Like the doctors that have come out and spoke about different treatments and therapeutics, all not allowed. None of it is. It's
Of course
unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, that's free speech, and
It's unbelievable.
it's horrible. You can't stifle free speech.
Yeah, there's no discussion. Like basically what that says is when it comes to COVID, it's and they're blatant about it's World Health Organization only. They don't care about the CDC. And WHO is in bed with China. So here we go. I guess we know where that comes from.
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple of videos pulled back in the day last year or this year for the COVID thing. So we kind of stopped talking about it a little bit because we don't want our videos taken down. And then we got taken down because of talking about the collapse of the third quarter, the Great Reset. So we can't even talk about that.
And the craziest part, I think, about it is we're not calling people in. We're not posting videos of these tinfoil hat guys. These are doctors and economists that are literally going on record for, these videos that we post. And then they just get pulled as if they're like made up or like these people aren't allowed to talk about it. Like we're living in a world where doctors who treat people aren't allowed to talk about COVID. Only MSNBC and whoever else is on the short list is allowed to make up the story about COVID. Everybody else discussion is off the table.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. The 230 section needs to be repealed. The to protect the tech industry. I mean, it's crazy. It definitely needs
because
to go.
They are publishers. They don't deserve the protection.
No.
It's not. They talk about their community guidelines, and it's not a community. They're publishing. They're choosing to push narratives and restrict other ones. They're also, this will probably get pulled right now, they're guilty of election tampering. Honestly, on that measure alone, they're tampering with the U.S. election on the level that in 2016 they said it was Russia. Well, this year it wasn't Russia. It was Google and Facebook and everyone else that tampered in the election. So like, here we go again.
Yep. That's unbelievable. Now we have we're going to talk about 2020. We're going to talk about 2021 in the future. But right now, I have to show this video. It's about a restaurant owners. They're getting together. They're really mad.
They should be.
Yeah.
They should be so pissed.
They are, and they're banding together. They're going out of business. If something happens, I mean, something's going to have to happen so that to protect these people. Take a look and see what he said.
Anybody who's in the restaurant industry for just a minute? I'm part of that industry. I'm part of the restaurant industry too, for any of you that are in it. And I just want to say one thing that's very important. Everybody in here has to understand. Probably every other business, guys. Probably everybody else with any business. We've been used to living very well, like Marie said. Very free, enjoyed our lives. Got to stop thinking like a victim criminal mentality. As the victim, I'll just do whatever the criminal tells me to do. They'll let me go when I'm done. They don't want to let us go. They want complete freaking control of us. They don't want us going back to normality. So this is the time we got to stand up. Every freaking business has got to stand up and put these sons of bitches down.
Amen.
Because if we don't, they're taking us out.
That's right.
I'm 60 freaking years old. I've lived all my life as an American.
That's right.
And Robbie's right. This isn't about Democrat or Republican. This is about American.
That's right.
And I am not ready to give my country up to these people so that they can ruin my life, everybody's life in here. We got to stop them.
Yeah.
We got to grow this group. Like Marie said, here, state, country, global. We got to really do this. This is the time to be serious. If we're not serious now, and it ain't going to take them long, you're looking at 6-8 months. This coming summer, could be an absolute freaking disaster for freedom, for patriots, for this country. We got to do this now. Every day has to be serious. Forget about looking forward to next Christmas with your family, next Thanksgiving with your family. It ain't going to happen if we don't stop them now, this year. So that's it. Just keep going. Take this serious. Take this freaking serious. I want to finish my life owning my business. I said to Kelly this morning, all I want's my life back. I'm not looking for fame. I'm not looking for fortune. I want to mow my lawn on a sunny Saturday morning, again, like I used to, and not worry about who the hell's coming to try to bomb my house, take it from me, and ruin my life. We gotta keep together. We gotta grow. Get the word out there. I'm not giving up. So neither should anybody here. I don't think you will.
Amen.
That's it.
There we go. Powerful speech.
There we go. Yeah, that guy was fired up, and rightfully so. We've watched basically the restaurant industry take the hardest hit, and them going from being shut down to, and from me running into restaurant owners almost on a daily basis, a lot of them had to spend money, build outside dining facilities. Some of them that couldn't build the outside facilities permanent because they didn't have the land, had to have tents that they rented and they put up in parking lots, and then it was okay, and then it wasn't okay, and then certain states like New Jersey and California, the Communist Republic of them, they just with no notice shut them down. So like these people have to like rent this equipment for like the month, and then you get to use it for a week, and they tell you no, you can't outside dine anymore, you can't do this, you can't do that. They were trying to make a living. They were trying to keep their people working. And that's the problem, is that the people that are essential rely on those restaurants, like talking to EMTs, people who work in ambulances. They don't have time to, really, sit down and eat. They go to drive-thrus. They go to takeout. This is what they do. They go to restaurants and get takeout. So like, you have to have some way for those people to eat. The cops, the firemen, all the people that are essential, all the hospital workers and stuff like that. You cannot just shut restaurants down just because you're afraid that, 50 people are going to be in close proximity. It just doesn't work.
It's like 80% of Americans go and takeout too as well. So
that's what I'm saying. You can't do it to these people, because once they're gone, who in their right mind would want to start a restaurant after this? Just like we talked about, who would want to be a police officer, after watching what this country's done to them? I mean, who's going to want to run a restaurant? Nobody.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, hopefully, we're going to figure this out. I mean, the vaccine's out, but they're we can't talk about the vaccine.
Nope. Zip.
All right, so we have the next video. We have the bomber for Nashville playing downtown before he bombed downtown Nashville. So
yeah, it's weird. He was suicidal with a sense of humor.
Yeah, so they found his body where he laid, and he warned people before it went off. So at least he didn't want to have anybody else, die with him. Let's take a look.
The light's so much brighter there. You can forget all your troubles, forget all your cares. So go downtown, where all the lights are bright. Downtown, waiting for you tonight. Downtown, you're gonna be alright now.
There we go. So that's what happened. So I love that song, by the way, but still.
So much speculation into the how, the what, and the why of that bombing. Like, he obviously didn't want any casualties. He played that warning for almost like 45 minutes, saying that like evacuate from the area. This area is unsafe, and then it changed to basically a countdown. And some of the people that lived in the apartments around there said, all right, we took it serious when we heard it as a countdown, and they got in their car and they drove away. And they were on the other side of the river, the one lady said, and she saw the explosion, and she was like, wow, I would have still been sleeping. This was Christmas morning at like 6 a.m. or something. Like, these people were sleeping. Right. So if they didn't hear what actually they said in the interview, they heard gunshots first. So the sound of what they thought was gunshots woke them up, and they looked out the window. And then they see this RV sitting there and so on and so on. And they go back to bed and then they hear the countdown and they were like, all right, this is bad. Let's get out of here. But the proximity to the AT&T building, everybody's speculating that maybe that was the target because the AT&T building apparently got the contract to do the audits on Dominion software. Right. So, I mean, there's all kind of speculation now on the why. And this guy was an IT professional, IT security professional, which those guys are in high demand. I can't imagine why this guy would want to end himself, but you know, he signed over his house 2 weeks ago, so he knew 2 weeks ago that he was going to do this because he signed over his house to like a 30-year-old woman who lives in California that I think he dated a couple of times. He literally just said, here's my house. I'm not going to be around. Right. You know, and he told his boss, I'm retiring. I'm done here. And he just walked out in one day. Right. So this is a guy who knew exactly what he was going to do. He also planned enough to not hurt anybody. He just wanted to hurt property or whatever his target was. I think he did it. That was a huge explosion. And
I mean, they were out of service for all the way to Atlanta, you know, for AT&T.
Right. So it's like now people are speculating, like, was that his target, or you know, was that like a test run? And then is there other people saying like, oh wait, okay, that worked for that region, we could hit a bunch of regions and so on. So like, you know, that's how it works though. The conspiracy machine, it never stops. So every time something happens, I mean, even the law enforcement people thought it was very strange that there would be an RV there, and the one woman officer actually jiggled the door handle and thought like, wait a minute, this thing's playing a warning that it's going to explode. I really shouldn't be jiggling this door. So I mean, they were dangerously close to it.
Well, I'm glad everybody else is safe, but we had to look into more of that, see what's going to happen. Now let's go jump to January 6th. Now January 6th, we're going to play a video. Big rally is going to happen on January 6th.
Yep. I don't know, man. I don't know if I could resist it, but honestly, there's a lot of talk about what the DC mayor is doing. I mean, it's on a Wednesday, which is like, it's going to be really hard for me. The DC mayor is already restricting tour buses, just like she does at every Trump rally. I mean, if it was a BLM rally, they would clear, you know, stadiums for people to like park their cars. I mean, it would be amazing.
They're turning away hotel people, or turning away Trump supporters.
Hotels are not allowed to be booked. And here's the best part is, I went to one of these rallies, and the hotel we were at was like at 100% booked. Well, the DC mayor says, well, because of the COVID, you can't book in excess of 70% of your hotels. Like, what is that? They know that this is like a big deal, and they know they don't want it to be a big deal. They're very scared of what's going to happen in DC on the 6th.
All right. Well, let's take a look at this video.
We will not bend, we will not break, we will not yield. We will never give in, we will never give up, and we will never back down. We will never, ever surrender. Because we are Americans, and our hearts bleed red, white, and blue.
go. So fight
Boom.
for Trump.
All over the world, man, and I've seen other people at these rallies that I've been to, and you see a lot of people from foreign countries that are immigrants, legal immigrants, that are so pissed off that the generation now that wants to usher in this Chinese whatever communist socialism, they ran from it. They know how horrible it is. They were talking about being shot in the street for carrying the wrong flag. I mean, people in this country that are ushering in this nonsense don't realize what they want to bring in here, man. It's some of the worst poison the world has ever seen, and we've been quote unquote vaccinated from this socialist communist poison with our freedom, and now we have a cadre of young people that just want to give it up at the drop of a hat and think that, you know, just because they're going to get $2,000 a month and, you know, a job at the weed dispensary, that everything's going to be kumbaya, and it's just not the case.
No, it's not. I mean,
So
once
bad.
Biden gets in, he'll change his tune. We're not going to get no $2,000.
No, please. I mean, right now, Pelosi is trying to change it, and Mitch McConnell is like, it's too much money, and, you know, all of these other things. But no one is ever, they're not even addressing what about the billions of dollars you're sending overseas? Like, couldn't you put that on hold? Maybe give money to the American people, revisit the Sudan and you know, the Pakistan and the gender studies and counting the fish, the amberjack fish. Can we hold off on that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a no-brainer for most of America, but in these political like arenas, these people are fighting over stuff that doesn't even make sense.
Right.
They're fighting to keep this pork in there because there's a guy behind the scenes that's like, yeah, you better put that money back in there or else you know what's going to happen. I mean, that's it. I think most of our, and you know, this is probably not going to go anywhere, but most of our Congress is compromised. They're owned by somebody, some special interest, some country now. I wasn't worried when it was like, you know, big pharma or even alcohol and tobacco when they would lobby for stuff. Right. Now it's foreign countries. Now it's a bigger game. Now it's the globalist agenda is now in our House of Representatives. Right. And that's a problem. Yeah. And how do we fight it as the American people when we try to elect a guy who's going to fight for us and then they just steal it anyway?
Right.
Unreal.
Yep. Unreal. So predictions for 2021. What do you think, Bill?
It's nothing good. I mean, right now, as I go out into different, I want to say small businesses, they're scared. They're about to lose their livelihood. And Biden's talking about first 100 days, complete lockdown, absolute necessities, which is like hospitals, waterworks, and electricity. I mean, this lockdown he's talking about is nothing like we've ever seen. And I think this has all been preparatory, all of this, you know, stuff that's going on up until this point, that these people are scared to death, man. And I crossed the bridge into a communist state, New Jersey, where at the snap of his fingers, he shuts people down with little or no warning. And they're running out of things, like, you know, as far as there was this program called FECRA, like, you know, if your kids weren't in school and, you know, you had to run your business or whatever, there was allowances, and it's all gone. And that's the thing. They don't care because it's not about the people, it's about their party. And New Jersey's a perfect example that they ran well into the red, thinking that they were going to get a bailout from the House, and then now they're finding out that you're not getting as much money as we said you were, so you're kind of screwed. And this is a problem that they're okay spending blank check money on everything but the American people. And I think we've all seen that. If Trump didn't accomplish anything, he accomplished the American people got a big bird's eye view of the swamp, government, globalism. I mean, every little aspect of corruption, he revealed it. And they showed themselves. Some of them couldn't wait to show how angry or fascist or racist or whatever they were. They couldn't wait to do it.
Right. Well, I mean, for me, I mean, January 6th is a pivotal time. I mean,
Yes.
If that doesn't go through where they object to the electors on January the 6th, that fails. His only alternative is martial law. If he doesn't do that, Biden gets in, and it's total chaos.
Yeah.
You're looking at total lockdown. Businesses are going to go under, and then there will be a great reset. The doctor that was pulled, our video was pulled,
Yep.
in the third quarter was saying there will be a great reset because all the debt, people no longer working. We're
Yeah.
going to get a wage every month because no one will own any property. So
Yeah.
the third quarter total collapse of the world economy, and that probably would happen if Biden does the 100-day lockdown.
Yeah, and it's got to happen in steps. And I think all of the things that we've experienced under the guise of COVID, like Democrats love an emergency. They love a tragedy and an emergency because they think that it takes the Constitution completely out of the picture, and then all of a sudden the smartest people in the room, which is, you know, Democrats, of course, they're the ones that have to make these this is a game time decision. And what happens is that people's lives were destroyed during this. And there's also people that were, you know, probably just getting on their feet. What Trump brought to this country was a booming economy, and people were happy to get engaged in small business. And that was scaring them. This is my opinion. That scared these Democrats because nothing's worse than a self-sufficient self-starter who relies on only himself. Because then the Democrats' little thing that they scream, it doesn't matter to them. So the Democrats completely lose when everybody's self-sufficient. So they need poverty. They need people to struggle and suffer, and they can't survive without it. And you can see how they pull the strings to make sure that that happens.
That's correct. I agree with that. So about 2020, we have another compilation of what happened during the year. Bill, you actually made this. You did a great job.
The Bill Mason Show compilation.
Exactly. We took some scenes from the original one and then mixed them all in, so you'll enjoy it. So Bill, let's go ahead and go to that video.
All right.
Today is January the 30th, 2020. We have a great show for you tonight. Pandemic is happening now.
I do want to say to people, come to Chinatown. Here we are. We're, again, careful, safe, and come join us.
Pandemic is happening now.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
The El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
We are concerned about trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
the sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately,
Some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what they think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 I am on my way to the United States House floor to impeach
President Trump.
What do you think about this, Nicole?
Somebody is going to get hurt.
Here we go. We're getting toilet paper.
Oh, it's like Black Friday, flat screens.
Yeah, flat screen toilet paper.
Front row view.
Wow.
Uprisings all over the country, maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look, as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
to tell you, although I was very young when you had riots and protests and assassinations and discord back in the 60s, I know enough about that history to say there is something different here. You look at those protests, and that was a far more representative cross-section of America out on the streets, peacefully protesting, and who felt moved to do something because of the injustices that they had seen. That didn't exist back in the 1960s, that kind of broad coalition.
No one's found anything wrong with his dealings with Ukraine except they say it sets a bad image.
Would you agree that it sets a bad image?
And my son said that.
This primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me, we can only reelect Donald Trump.
So we're ahead of the game. If you listen to our show regularly, you know what's going on before anybody else does.
This is like some real deep state stuff going on, stuff you would only think that would be in movies, but that's 2020.
Wow. 2020.
Lots of fun.
Lots of fun. So that's the show tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. Look back at 2020 and a little bit look forward to 2021. And do you have any last words, Bill?
I'm still praying for this country, man. This is the last thing floating in a worldwide shipwreck. So my fingers are crossed for the 6th, and I think by the 20th we'll all know whether we're buying stock in Coke and Pepsi or buying stock in ammunition. So
all right, we'll see what happens. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for all the new subscribers, and have a great night.
Good night, everyone.